culture in that whole Baltimore, Maryland area. My cell phone number. Ladies, it ain't that type of party. I don't need another scandal. Don't play games with me. 215 989 9858. 215 989 9858. One more time for my special ed parents. I'm picking with you because guess what? Your label wasn't real either that you had in school. Your problem was you wasn't taught either. Half these diagnoses ain't the parent fault. It's ain't been taught. If your child ain't been taught in school, how the hell they gonna have a disability? How about you teach them first? And y'all need to start making them teach your children. 215 989 9858. If you've never been to Africa, it looks like we're going to be going to Nigeria and Ghana this coming summer 2022. My Africa trips are always the last week in July, first week in August. They cost about $4,500, so please start saving. I don't make any money off the trip. It all goes to the travel agent. They make money, but I don't. Everything is included except you're spending money. 2 weeks in Africa. Okay, you will have to take the COVID test before you leave, and you do have to take it in Africa before you come back. I'm learning all that right now. I don't want to take it. I don't want them sticking nothing up your nose, but this is what we got to do if we want to go back home. Get your passport. Black man, if you owe child support, you better pay it off because there will be no passport for you. Okay? So I'm also working on a Jamaica trip, a cultural trip to Jamaica to visit the graves of the Honorable Marcus Garvey, Bob Marley, the original UNIA ACL Division Number 1, the nanny of the Maroons, the sister who defended Jamaica against the British and the French, I believe, black woman general, successfully defied the British white power structure. We also have what? The Bobo Shanti Rastafari Kingdom, the Naya Bingi Rastafari Kingdom, the 12 Tribe Rastafari Kingdom, also some of the slave trails, the Paul Bogle slave insurrection, Samuel Sharp slave insurrection. There's a lot of history on the island of Jamaica, and we're going to go there. And if you want to party, you're going to party. And if you want some of that chronic, they got you. I only smoked one blunt my whole life, and it was in Jamaica. I stayed 1 week with the Bobo Shanti Rastafari. I said I had to smoke a joint because everybody loved marijuana. Roll it and show me how to puff it. And so we was in a big circle. I was in the middle. The Rastas was around me. They showed me how to roll the joint. They showed me how to puff the joint. And everybody was waiting for me to turn into Marcus Garvey, right, in the hills of Jamaica. And I smoked the whole joint, and nothing happened. And the Rasta said, "This ain't for you, Doc, because we ain't never seen nobody. This is the best chronic out." And it had no effect on me. I think I'm too intellectual for marijuana. I should. But if you want to go to Jamaica, that trip is not going to be that expensive. That's less than $2,000. In fact, it might be less than $1,500. So we're working on that. For Jamaica, you still need a passport. You need a passport anyway to travel. So make sure you get your passport. And you know they're taking a long time to give you your passport now. So get on your passport, because if you ever have to fly out of America, brothers and sisters, you got to be able to get out of here. Get your passport. Do not wait to the last minute, okay? I want to close with a quote from my ancestor, Frederick Douglass. The paternal side of my family was brought to North America in 1701. A black man by the name of Bailey, stolen from the Igbo nation of Nigeria. He was brought to Talbot County, Eastern Shore, Maryland. He married a black woman named Selah, for whom my 10-year-old daughter is named. In 1745, they had Grandmom Jenny. In 1774, Grandmom Jenny gave birth to my 6 times great-grandmother, which is Frederick Douglass's grandmother, my 6 times great-grandmother, Grandmom Betsy Bailey. Grandmom Betsy was born into slavery, but she married a free black man, Grandpop Isaac, who had the same last name, Bailey. They had 12 children. One daughter was named Betsy, and one daughter was named one daughter was named Harriet, and one daughter was named Young Betsy, my 5 times great-grandmother. These 2 sisters were raped by the slave master who owned our family. And as a result of that rape, in February of 1818, Aunt Harriet gave birth to arguably the greatest black leader in American history, Frederick Augustus Washington Bailey. At the age of 20, Cousin Fred ran away. He changed his name. So in New York, he became Frederick Douglass, and he dropped the Bailey to hide his identity on the fugitive slave trail. Well, the next year, in the summer of 1819, Grandmom Young Betsy gave birth to my 4 times great-grandfather, Stephen Henry Bailey. This is the same Stephen that Frederick Douglass mentions in all his narratives at having grew up on Tuckahoe Creek with Cousin Steve. Cousin Steve is Stephen Henry Bailey, my 4 times great-grandfather. Cousin Steve married Grandmom Caroline, my 4 times great-grandmother, who didn't learn how to read or write until 1909, the year the NAACP was founded. On November the 14th of 1841, they gave birth to my 3 times great-grandfather, George Washington Bailey, who turns 180 years old on Sunday. He became the first black public school teacher in Denton, Maryland. When the Civil War starts in 1861, Frederick Douglass does not fight in the Civil War, but he sends two of his sons, Lewis and Charles. They go north to Boston. They fight in the United States, state of Massachusetts 54th Colored Regiment. If you ever seen the movie Glory, Denzel Washington and Morgan Freeman, that's the story about the sons of Frederick Douglass, but also the son of Martin Delany, the grandfather of Pan-Africanism, who popularized the saying Africa for the Africans that the Honorable Marcus Garvey took later and said Africa for the Africans, those at home and those abroad. So Martin Delany's son was also in the 54th. My two grandfathers, Stephen and George, father and son, fought in the United States Colored Troops of Maryland, and they served from 1863 until the end of the war. My grandfather, Stephen Henry Bailey, was present in Galveston, Texas, on June 19th, 1865, when General Gordon Granger read Special Order Number 3, giving emancipation to all enslaved Africans in Texas previously held in bondage, which became the Juneteenth holiday. My grandfather was there. When the Civil War was over, Grandpa George married Grandmom Annie. They had Grandmom Caroline. She moved to Philadelphia from Maryland. She had Grandma Vivian. My great-grandma Vivian married a Spanish-speaking Cuban immigrant from Havana, my great-grandfather Cicero Noel Miles. They had my grandmother, Ida Miles Bailey Johnson, who we buried a couple of years ago. She met and married James Johnson, who I believe was from South Carolina or Georgia. And they had my father, Jamal, who met my mother, Barbara, and on August the 21st in North Philadelphia on the anniversary of the Haitian Revolution, the Nat Turner War, and the George Jackson Revolution, and the original birth date of Jesus Christ, by the way.
Come on.
I was born in North Philly. Frederick Douglass said, if there is no struggle, there is no progress. Those who profess to favor freedom and deprecate agitation are like men who want crops without plowing up the ground. They want rain but can't stand the thunder or the lightning. They want the ocean, but they're scared of the awful roar of the waves. Frederick said, a man may not get all he pays for, but you will pay for everything that you get. And if we are ever to become free as a people, we will have to pay for that freedom. We may pay with blood, we may pay with blows, we may pay with our life, but there will be no freedom without a cost being paid. Frederick Douglass said, for 20 years, I prayed on my knees to God for freedom, but the good Lord gave Frederick Douglass no freedom until I got up off my knees and prayed with my feet. He said, if you want respect from white people, why do you look for pity? The man who pities you will never respect you, and the man who respects you has no need for pity. No struggle, no progress. The most honorable Marcus Messiah Garvey, the man who gave us the red, black, and green flag, said, without confidence in yourself, you are twice defeated in the race of life. With confidence, you have won even before you have started. Marcus Garvey said, if the black man and woman of America are not careful, we will drink in all the poison of Western civilization and die from the effects of it. Marcus Garvey was once asked, are you an African or are you a Jamaican? Are you an African or are you a Jamaican? And in response to that, Mr. Garvey said, I would never, ever, ever give up a continent for an island. I am an African. Yesterday, today, and for all times. Black power. What I want to do now is take about 5 questions, and then after I take the 5 questions, we can start signing books. If you want to get a copy of my book, they are $50. There are almost 500 pages of information that you need. The information in that book, if a white person sold that to you, probably about $300. That's how much is in there. Credit card, we have an iPad. Cash App, if you're going to pay with your Cash App, send it to $ Dr. Umar Johnson. You must put Johnson on the end because there's a fake Cash App, $ Dr. Umar, that I don't own. So make sure you put Johnson, DRUMAR JOHNSON. And of course, you can pay with cash if you want. Who has a question? Standing up in the back, you're number 1. Right here, Baba, you number 2. Number 3, my brother with the Wakanda chain. Number 4, sister, you number 5. Give me that hand again. 6, did I see another one? No, okay. Brother in the orange, you 7, and that's going to do it. Who's my number 1? And I will repeat the question.
Yes, I'm going to ask this question. When are we going to start dismantling false indoctrination of Christianity that's affecting our people? When are we going to start practicing metaphysics, quantum physics, to educate our people on the science of our melody that is connected to the universe? When will this take place? A lot of us believe in a lot of false doctrine that's keeping us enslaved mentally. We have a full functioning wake up and realize that we are God and reclaim our destiny of ruling all nations, because we are the people of the sun. You and everyone in here is a daughter and a son of Ra. Y'all are also a daughter and a son of Ba'at. So you don't need to be a part of no Boule. You don't need to be Freemason. You don't have to be Eastern Star, because y'all have the true connection. It is a mockery to join any of those organizations, because y'all are the true embodiment of God. Do you know this? This is the question that I have.
Let me respond if I can, Queen. You're catching the Holy Ghost. Here's what I was saying. People often ask me, why was the Most Honorable Marcus Messiah Garvey so successful? And he was a Christian, by the way. The reason Garvey built the largest black organization in modern history, you could take everybody else, take the Nation of Islam, take the Moors, take the Nawapians, take the Hebrews, put them all together, you still don't even get 25% of what Garvey did 100 years ago. And he did it without using religion. The reason the Honorable Marcus Garvey was so successful is he refused to exploit religion, and he refused to attack it. Marcus Garvey said, if they want to go pray in church, let them. If they want to go to the masjid and pray, let them. But when they come through those doors, we are here to build the future for African people. The Garvey movement was based on African consciousness, the unification of all of our people all over the world working together for a common agenda, and that is the liberation of who we are. I am the same way. One of the reasons why I'm the most popular person in the black conscious community, despite all the haters, is because I do not attack people's religions. I don't care if you're Muslim, I don't care if you're Christian, I don't care if you're Jehovah's Witness. I'm not concerned with how you pray. I'm not concerned with what you believe in. I'm only concerned with how you think. It is the thinking of African people that I want to change. A lot of my Pan-African forefathers, they were preachers in the Christian church. Bishop Turner, the first black man to say God was black, was a pastor, okay? Alexander Crummell, the father of black social work and the first black man to build a intellectual society for black men, grandfather Pan-Africanism. He was an Episcopalian preacher. I understand the issues we have with Christianity, but I do not believe it's universal for all Christians. A lot of who we are and how we got to where we are was done through Christians. So for me, I don't need to attack the Christianity or the Islam. And I'm not saying she's attacking. I just want to clarify, I don't need to attack anyone's religion in order to bring back black consciousness. It's not their religion that's the problem. It's the disorganization that we are in. You can take every religion out the black community right now, and we would still be disorganized and dysfunctional. Let's go over to the conscious community, where most people are neither a Christian or a Muslim. Is there not just as much fighting? Is there not just as much bickering? Is there not just as much gossip? So this is a whole community of people who have been to Africa, read all the books, think they know everything, and they are still filled with just as much self-hate as anybody in the church or in the mosque. So for me, I have no qualm with religion. Pray as you want. But when you come to Team Pan-African, when you come to the Frederick Douglass and Marcus Garvey Academy, we are coming together as family, a family of Africans. That's how I approach that situation. I got another piece before I go to number 2. Here's the other piece. Frederick Douglass said, it is better to raise strong children than to repair broken men. I'm saying that to say that anything we feel needs to be removed from the collective consciousness of African people got to be done with the children. The problem we have is we're not doing nothing with the children. We keep on trying to rehabilitate broken grown folks. If he loved white women at 30, he's going to love them at 50. If they pray into a white Jesus at 25, they're going to do it at 55. I believe we need to focus more of our attention on the children. That's why I'm building the school, because I understand it's easier to get the babies than it is to transform a grown person. The problem is we're not spending enough time with the babies, y'all. If you want to change that mindset, we do it with the next generation. We don't do it with people who already have psychologically destroyed mindsets. Who's the number 2? Yes, sir.
You may have already answered this question, and I ponder it often when I'm in front of scholars and they doing a great spiel. The Igbo people came ashore in South Carolina, St. Simon's Island, or one of the islands in South Carolina. Human cargo came ashore. A shaman of those Igbo people in chains when they hit the shores, they looked into the future and saw what it was going to be. And they all turned around and walked back into the Atlantic Ocean. Now, you may have already answered this question, but is it that they looked into the future and saw that we would never rise to our greatness again or become all that the Creator intended for us to be? Because he looked into the future and saw what it was going to be. The future is now for us, or maybe tomorrow. And they all turn around and walk back into the ocean. What are your thoughts on that?
Ebo landing, I'm familiar with it. It's a powerful story. One day when I go to Georgia, and I'm in Georgia all the time, but I'm never deep enough, I want to go because there's a marker there. The group of enslaved Africans from the Igbo nation of Nigeria.
True.
Brought onto shore, turned right around, man, woman, and child, and walked into the water and drowned themselves rather than be slaves.
That's right.
You know, when they took us from the continent, there were certain nations that they did not want. Igbo was one of them.
Right.
They always said the Igbo don't make good slaves.
Right.
The Mandinka don't make good slaves. It's
True.
about 8 ethnicities that they did not want because it was almost impossible to break them. And these are the ones who ran off into the woods and became maroons. Okay? So this is what I believe. I believe God made the white man on purpose to force you to manifest your divinity or destroy you. And that's exactly what the white man is doing. He is your test. The white man is here to force the black man and woman of the planet to reclaim your glory. And in order to do it, you got to defeat us or you're going to be destroyed. And God is perfectly okay with that because God set it up that way. So I'm telling you that the white man ain't going nowhere until you send him somewhere. You need to go back to the damn cave. But guess what? You got to send him. And I know we don't like to talk about this, but guess what? There will be a war. And I don't want it. I don't want it. But in order for the world to go back to peace, when African ruled it, we're the only race that has ever ruled this planet in peace, and we're the only people who can rule it in peace because we are the original man and woman. We are the sun people.
True.
We are the custodians of this planet. The Chinese man will not be able to rule in peace. He got a mountain complex. The Arab cannot rule the planet in peace. He got a sand complex. And the white man can't rule the planet. He got an ice complex. You are the only people with a healthy level of consciousness that can rule this planet with justice. Only the African. And until you take it back, there will be no justice on this planet. That's why Nat Turner did what he did. Because Nat Turner knew the only way this gets fixed is with us. You can keep on waiting for God if you want. God ain't going to help you. And you know why God ain't going to help you? Because God ain't the reason the white man took over. You are. Everything you are dealing with, you brought it on yourself. And you're going to have to fix it. This is on us, brothers and sisters. God will give us help. Ancestors will give us help. The divinities will give us help. But the work is for us to do. It's nobody else's. And the longer we wait, the longer it's going to take. Remember, God does not work for you. God is not your personal slave. God works through you. God comes through you and do the work. So if you don't pick up those two hands and start doing something, neither will the Lord.
True.
If you ever seen God win a battle, show me which one. It was the man who had to fight. God works through you. That was my number 2. I'm going to let you be the last one, Pastor. That's cool. Who's my number 3? Yes, ma'am.
So you say that these programs in place for children, food, special attention, should be free. So how do we ensure that free doesn't equal worse? Because sometimes they just like get off on it. Oh, it's free, so it doesn't equal.
Well, that's when you have to evaluate it as a parent to decide if you think it's what your child needs. Because I agree with you. Free can be worse. Let me give you an example. My 10-year-old, when she was about 4, 5, her school, her mom got her in this white Quaker-ass school. But anyway, the school thought my baby girl had a speech problem. So I said, no problem. I know some black speech therapists. We're going to get them to evaluate her. We ain't letting the white folks do nothing. And if they find that she does have a 25% delay in needs speech, we're going to pay out of pocket for private services. Now, even though my daughter was attending a private school, and y'all need to know this if your child attends a private school, the local public school district is the intermediate unit, which means that you can get speech therapy from the public school your child would have attended, although they are a Catholic school child or a private school child. You can get the local public school to give your child an evaluation, and you don't have to pay for it, because the local public school that your child would usually attend is the intermediate unit. So you can get any physical therapy, OT, you can get all that through the local public school. But like you said, you get what you pay for. And my daughter was at a pretty wealthy white Quaker cracker ass place, right? So she probably would have got a good service, but I'm still not going to trust it. We were going to pay out of pocket for the service because I know how poorly the services are in school. If your child gets speech, I hope you also paying somebody on the side to work with your child. If you are relying on the school to get it right, it'll never be right. You have to use your own money to help your child. And the problem I got with black parents, we hardly never use our own money to help our child academically, but we love to buy some clothes, though, don't we? Okay? So just keep that in mind. You get what you pay for. You really, really do. I would never accept any of the free services from the public school. I would always pay out of pocket. And to that point, the African American Speech and Language Pathologists Association is located in Pittsburgh. So if you're looking for a black speech therapist, you can call them up and they will find you a black speech therapist in your area. If you need a black therapist or psychologist for therapy or evaluation or consult, text me and I will text you the name of some folks you can reach out to from the Association of Black Psychologists if you need that. Don't take your child to a psychiatrist. They write prescriptions. All they do is drugs. Get them a psychologist. Get them a licensed clinical social worker. Get them a licensed professional counselor. You licensed yet? He working on it. Dante have his soon, right? Okay. But social worker, LPC, licensed psychologist. Some life coaches are good, but they're not credentialed or well trained, so you got to be careful with that. And I also do life coaching. I didn't get my license as a psychologist, but I think I'm gonna go ahead and do it. I think I'm gonna get my psychology license. It means I gotta work 1 year with a white person or a corn in order and take the 2 tests. I might as well do it, so that way I can have that license and the law license together when I go into the courtroom. I just don't really need it because I'm a certified school psychologist, and most of what I do through my school psych work, so I really don't need it, right? If I could do it all over again, I would have went to law school back then and never even got the doctorate, because I really needed that law degree right now more than the clinical psychologist piece. But you got me on that, you get what you pay for. Who my number 4? Yes, sir.
All right, I had the pleasure of getting a divination several years ago by one of your spiritual readers that you recommended to me, Chief of Lifetime, rest in peace. He said Obatala was the Orisha that guides me, so I've been practicing Ifa ever since you and him introduced it to me. I love to educate my people, which at times can be difficult, but what are some suggestions on how to educate from an Obatala perspective?
Wow. To answer that, you probably got to speak to an Obatala priest. And I have one for you. Mama Yeye Fini is one of the 3 names that I text you. Call her, she's an Obatala priestess. And she was married to the king of the Oyotunji African village. And she was also in the movie Roots, the original Roots. She was one of the dancers. Okay? And by the way, if anybody is looking for a traditional African priest or priestess, you can text me and I'll send you the people who do my work. I will never give you somebody I don't trust, who I haven't put my life in their hands. Everybody I get is the people who do my own work. Rest in peace to Chief Olaitan. Chief Olaitan was the priest in the Nate Parker Birth of a Nation Nat Turner movie. The opening scene, little boy Nat Turner goes to see the priest in the woods. That's Chief Olaitan of the Oyotunji African village. He's the one who named me Ifatunde, November the 18th of 2011. So it'll be 10 years being Ifatunde in a couple of days. And,
I'd like to thank you for saving my life from severe depression, because I could have committed suicide.
appreciate that, brother. God bless you. You know, we got to get back into our spirituality, and I believe you can use any road. If you're using the Christian road, I don't see nothing wrong with that. You just got to walk it right. The Muslim road, you got to walk it right. But I do think as African people, we do have to tap into our ancestors. And one of the biggest differences I see in Africa versus America when it comes to Christianity and Islam is back home in Africa, there is no contradiction between being a pastor of a church and being a priest of the ancestors. They're often the same person. The imam at the masjid may actually be the diviner for the village. It's no contradiction. But over here in America, because we've been so brainwashed, we think it's a contradiction that you can't serve Christ or follow the religion of Islam and not communicate with your ancestors. That's something that we got to get over, because we need our ancestors. I got mine now, and I'm not putting them down for nobody. True. Because they are the angels that God sent forth to help you on your earthly journey. And until you tap into your ancestors, you'll never get to where you need to go, because you come from God through your ancestors, and you get back to God through your ancestors. Not through the priest, not through the imam, through your ancestors.
Okay.
Number 5, Queen.
So, first I just want to say that I'm glad to see all these parents out here tonight to support their children. I'm a special education advisory committee member for Norfolk Public Schools. And as many parents as I'm seeing out here tonight to listen to Dr. Umar, I don't see not near enough.
At them school board meetings.
At the school board meeting. 12% of our students with disabilities are reading at or above grade level. 12%. 23% of our black children are reading at or above reading level. Only 23% in Norfolk. We need your help. We need y'all to attend these school board meetings, these SEAC meetings. It's very important for you to support our children, because they are the ones lining the juvenile justice system. Now I'm asking Dr. Umar, if I can get all of these parents to come to support, which I know that's probably not possible, I'm hoping. What's our first steps to dismantle the school to prison pipeline for Norfolk?
Well, number 1, you got to be careful, because you're in the system. So you would have to operate like a Harriet Tubman, because your contract with the school district obligates you to the best interests of the school district. If it's found out that you're helping parents save their children, as ridiculous as it sounds, you will be fired. And that's why we have so many black teachers who have been fired, because they thought their job was to fight for the kids. And they found out that their job was to fight for the system. So we got to make sure you're protected, because you got bills to pay. When after I come back and do the Black Parent 12-hour boot camp, I'm hoping some of you will be willing to start a chapter of the National Independent Black Parent Association, organization I founded in Baltimore in 2016. Every chapter has 7 committees. A special ed committee to investigate special ed abuse in Norfolk, or Chesapeake, or Suffolk, or Portsmouth, Newport News, Hampton, Virginia Beach, right? How many black kids in special ed? Is there money being spent on them? Are they being misdiagnosed? Are they getting poor service? How many in special ed for emotional disturbance? How many in special ed for autism? How many in special ed for reading? How many in special ed for math? How many in special ed for speech and language? We need to know the data. Our motto in the NIBPA is investigate, educate, advocate. Next committee, school discipline. How many black kids are suspended from Norfolk on a daily basis? And what are they suspended for? And which schools are most likely to suspend a black kid? And which teacher is most likely to do it? The only way we can fight is to know the data. Number 3, school policy, changing the rules of the schools that negatively impact our kids. For example, let's say you got a 5-year-old, they ready for kindergarten. Let's say Norfolk schools, you can't start kindergarten unless your birthday is by a certain date, right? But your child ready now. They know their numbers, their colors, their sizes, their shapes, their address, their phone number. They ready now. But Norfolk School District got a policy that say until they turn this age, they can't start kindergarten. Well, is that a state law? Probably not, which means we can change it. Policies are made by the school board. Laws are made by the state. You can change policies. In fact, some of them might even be against the law. That's why we need a policy committee to find out, is this even legal in the first place? You see? And then there will also be a finance committee to investigate how Norfolk schools or Hampton schools, how they spending their money. When the last time a black person had a contract with Hampton Public Schools? Do you know any black person with a contract in Norfolk Public Schools that's worth $250,000? Who got the contract to drive the buses? Who got the contract to clean the bathrooms? If you get the contract to clean the bathroom, you can put 100 black people to work. You don't need no GED or nothing to clean the bathroom. Who got the contract to do the video cameras? Who got the contract for the after-school programs? Everything in the school district is done by a contract, and we not making sure black people getting their share, brothers and sisters. That's right. And then there will be a homeschool committee to organize parents who want to homeschool their children. By the way, I got a whole chapter on homeschooling in my book. You need to read it. Another chapter on how to deal with disruptive behavior without medicine. And another chapter on how to conduct yourself at a school meeting. You need to read that. Another committee is parent advocacy. If he got to go to a meeting about his son, he gonna go with him as his advocate to advise him on what his rights are. If she got to go to a meeting about her granddaughter, pastor gonna go with her as her advocate to make sure the schools don't exploit her and take advantage of her ignorance. We need advocates to go into the school. To be an advocate, you can't be scared of white folks or corners. And then there will be a social support committee, and the job of the social support committee is to help struggling parents find the resources that they need. Food, clothing, shelter, domestic abuse, GED program, welfare services. We need social support. Those are the 7 committees of the NIBPA. And after you get the training, you can start a chapter. No chapter can have more than 15 schools. That means every city will have more than 1 chapter. And the reason you can only have 15 schools is it's too much work to do. You can't take on the whole Norfolk. To do the job right, you gotta have a select group of schools and you focus on them. Can't be no city president, it's too much work. 15 schools per chapter. And I'm hoping some of y'all care enough about our kids to fight. We've never organized black parents on a national level, and the time has come for us to do that. You took my number?
Yes.
Let's have a conversation. Who my number 6? Yes, sir.
How you doing? I'm 25 years old. I grew up on you and a lot of your teachings through the Hidden Color documentary. And I felt like they helped me understand myself outside of the just basic public school educational system. And I was wondering now with major social media platforms and I see a lot of your videos and stuff, you're preaching the gospel, and a lot of times you're being memed, and I see a lot of people that were even on the Hidden Colors documentary series speaking out negatively against you. So I was wondering, do you feel like we should come together and start our own platforms, or we should just preach the gospel away from these social media platforms? Because it seems like they're taking what you're saying, just make it memeable, or just miscrewing it and making it seem like it's not legit information.
When I was on my last Breakfast Club interview, the first question Charlemagne asked me was, what did I think of the memes? It's a double-edged sword. On the one hand, it's trivializing a serious message. What I do is very serious. I put my life on the line to do this. The drug companies don't like it, the prison system don't like it, the miseducation machine don't like it, the white power structure don't like it, right? So they're trivializing something that is serious. On the other hand, our people are so goofy and immature that it recruits them in, and they see this meme, and they say, let me go see who this guy is, and then I end up helping them save their kids. Are y'all following me? So I see the good and I see the bad. Furthermore, Instagram is muting all my live videos now. They give me 10 minutes and then they mute me. So I know my days are numbered on Instagram. Facebook is ghosting me from all my followers. My days are numbered there. What I'm working on now is my own platform to broadcast live from that can't be controlled by none of the social network sites. And I have the followership to do that. So that's what I'm working on now. As far as the other people in the conscious community, I don't really pay them much mind, because despite all the slander and the hate, I'm still the most requested black scholar in the world. I'm still the most popular one in the conscious community. So it don't really matter. You know, I just do what you want to do. It ain't stopped nothing. We still raise the money for the school. We still got the school. It does make it tougher, but it don't stop the train. The reason why you'll probably never see me collaborate with none of them guys is because they're not serious. You follow me? None of those guys are building an institution. I am. None of those guys are struggling in the streets to save our children on a daily basis. I am. They basically make movies and make money off the conscious community. So there'll probably never be a collaboration because they're not doing anything significant enough for me to collaborate with them. Okay? I'm just looking forward to the Frederick Douglass Marcus Garvey Academy to be open. I'm hoping a lot of you apply there to work or to volunteer. I'm hoping that some of you might even move to Wilmington, Delaware, so your children can go to the school. The cost of living is relatively inexpensive up there. Okay, but even if that's not the case, I'm sure you're going to be coming to Delaware a lot, because once that school get open, brothers and sisters, those lights ain't never turning off. We having programs for pregnant women. We having programs for new couples, premarital counseling from a black consciousness perspective. Did y'all hear that? Mm-hmm. We're going to do our conscious singles retreat. If you're single and you're looking for somebody, we're going to have a conscious event to help you find your mate. Okay, if you already married, we're going to do a married couples retreat to keep you married. Okay, So it's just going to be a lot going on. We're really going to try to bring back what Garvey did 100 years ago. We're going to be having plays. If any of y'all like to act or write, we're going to be having plays because we want to dramatize the great epics and history that we have. Ida B. Wells needs to be a play. Ida B. Wells needs, I can't believe her life ain't in a movie yet. Do you realize Ida B. Wells was only second to Frederick Douglass? If Frederick Douglass didn't exist, Ida B. Wells would have been the leader of black people, a woman, at a time when women were not allowed to speak much. If Frederick Douglass didn't exist, Ida B. Wells would have been the leader of black people. That's how powerful she was. This woman challenged the entire lynch law of the South, naming people who killed our ancestors. They burned her office down in Memphis. They tracked her all around the world. I believe the same spirit that was at Harriet Tubman went into Ida B. Wells. I believe that's the same ancestor, born again. The Haitian Revolution needs to be a play. Marcus Garvey needs to be a play. We can't compete with major TV, but you know what we can do? Is we can show our children how great we were by dramatizing our history on stage. So all I'm saying is if there's anything you want to do to help our people, there will be a place for you at the Frederick Douglass Marcus Garvey Academy. I just hope you're not a coon and you don't be hating on Dr. Umar on the low, because if I find out, you're going to go in the Book of Negroes. You know, the Book of Negroes is a list of black folks who can't never. Let me tell you what happened the first block party. I had Negroes texting me, haters from YouTube. Dr. Umar, I just wanted to say I apologize for everything I said about you. Can I come to the block party? Hell no. They were sending people, oh, Dr. Umar, so-and-so said, you know, he's sorry. He want to come to the block. Nah, because if I would have lost, you would be laughing at me. Now that I'm winning, you and I don't want no fair weather friends. I need people gonna rock with me no matter what. Okay? That was number 6, right? Who my number 7? Where at? Go ahead, Bob.
Basically, that's my question, because I came in late.
Okay.
I'm an independent contractor. I do HVAC. I actually wanted to help you.
I can still use you for the Frederick Douglass High School, brother, because I can still use you for the Frederick Douglass High School, because right now we're just focusing on the Nat Turner Jean-Jacques Dessalines Gymnasium and the Marcus Garvey Elementary School. The Frederick Douglass High School is 4 times as big as the Marcus Garvey Elementary. Both schools are 1 floor though, and they're modern. So they're 1 floor, but it's much bigger. So whenever you can come to Delaware, and we can pay for you to fly up there, you understand? I can pay you for your inspection, and if there's a way you can help us, brother, we can use it. So you just let me know. You took my number?
Yeah, and I got business cards.
Okay. Text me and let me know when you can come up there. I would like to show you the school and see what you can do. If there's any electricians in here. Right now, we're focusing on the Frederick Douglass High School because we almost done the Marcus Garvey Elementary School. We're close. So now it's about getting across the street into the big building. And you know the Frederick Douglass High School has its own modern gym. Some of y'all saw me in there. It's modern, so we can do anything in there. And then we got 2 gyms. 2. Most public schools don't even have 2 gyms. So we're going to be in a real good space to do a lot of things, brothers and sisters, and I can't wait. I want the school done more than y'all. Y'all keep hitting me up, when the school going to be ready, when the school going to be ready. I want it more than y'all. Trust me, sometimes I sit out there and I just want to cry because I'm like, damn, Lord, why we can't get this done quicker? We ready. But I understand there's a time for everything in the season. I think there's a reason the Creator has been stalling this. I don't know what it is, but it's a reason it wasn't supposed to be last year. It's a reason it ain't supposed to be this year, and it's a reason why it's probably going to be next year. Y'all following me? I don't know what else is going on in the universe, but it was delayed on purpose. I don't think it's a coincidence that we bought the school on February 7th, 2019, 1 week before Frederick Douglass's birthday and the bicentennial year of his birth. I don't think it's a coincidence that Marcus Garvey incorporated the Black Star Line Steamship Company in Delaware. I was on the radio with descendants of the Garveyites who took the application to the state office in Dover. I don't think it's a coincidence that Wilmington is the city Frederick Douglass escaped from slavery to freedom through. It's the city that Harriet Tubman escaped from slavery to freedom through. It's also the city that Henry Highland Garnett, grandfather Pan-Africanism, escaped from slavery to freedom through. It's also the summer home city of Bob Marley. Some of y'all don't know this. Bob Marley and his mother used to come to Wilmington, Delaware for the summer in vacation. I actually met someone who father or grandfather worked with Bob Marley on the construction yard in Wilmington. And they still have the house where Bob Marley lived decorated in Bob Marley's honor. So Wilmington has a lot of little black history in there. It's also the second to the last state to formally abolish slavery. Okay, Kentucky and Delaware were the last 2 states to abolish slavery, and they didn't do it to the 1900s. It's one of the last public lynchings of a black person in America, I believe. There's a lot of historical significance for why we're there. And Harriet Tubman's main benefactor, a white man by the name of Thomas Garrett, who's born on August the 21st. Some of y'all seen a famous picture of Harriet Tubman on a wagon, helping her mother and father escape from Maryland when she found out they about to be sold or in prison. The wagon she got came from Wilmington, Delaware. It was Thomas Garrett who gave Harriet Tubman the wagon that she used to help her mother and father escape, and he's buried a few blocks from the school. So I believe we are there for a reason. I didn't think I would be in Philadelphia's backyard. I thought I was gonna be in Virginia, Detroit, Chicago, and it brought me all the way back home. And to Ifa, my brother, I had a spiritual reading in 2017 in New York. A Babalawo from Nigeria came, and I asked her, where should the first school be? You know what he said? I said, should it be in Africa? He said, you will get a school in Africa, but your first school is going to be somewhere near your home. So he called FDMG 2 years before we got FDMG. He told me it would be near the house. And Wilmington is 20 minutes from my front door. Facts. Dawn.
I know that I wasn't on the schedule, but I do
That's
want to
all
say
right.
like 3 things, okay?
My website, when y'all go to drumajohnson.com, she's the one who built it and maintained it. Give her a hand.
Hi, everybody. I just wanted to tell you 3 things really important. If you're looking for a passport, the wait right now is 16 weeks.
Woo! Woo!
16 weeks. And also make sure if you got grandbabies, kids, they need their passport too. Don't you just go get your passport. If you don't have enough money, just do it a little bit at a time. Second thing, Virginia is one of the 4 states in the United States where you don't have to go to law school to become a lawyer. You can internship under someone who's been in practice for 10 years, for 3 years, and get your law license. My husband and I have had this discussion many times trying to figure out how we could take advantage of that because we need more lawyers, we need more people working on that side, as Dr. Umar has stated. So I just want to give y'all that as an idea or something that maybe somebody can work on or work through and come up with ways to make that be advantageous to us. The last thing that I want to say is this. We talk a lot about special education when Dr. Umar is present, and that's the specialty, but another side of special education is gifted education, and he speaks very eloquently on gifted education. Gifted education services are available for your children too. This provides them with extra programs, field trips, supplemental things that could be there. The reason why we don't get it is because we never apply, we never test, we never go to the meetings, we don't know that's there. Virginia Beach Public Schools has a $35 million special school just for gifted children. In order for you to go to that school, all you have to do is apply and go through their process. I know there can't be the right amount of children of color in that school. So just letting you guys know, and I'm sure that other school districts have the same kinds of things that are there, but Old Donation School in Virginia Beach is a brand new state-of-the-art facility with music, art, dance, free of charge. The only thing that you have to do is apply. And a lot of times, they're not going to let you know. They're not going to make an announcement for that, but they'll make sure they pull your kid out of class. What I'm saying is there are things that are there. You have to look for those things as well to help your kids.
What's the name of the school?
Old Donation School, and that's in Virginia Beach Public Schools. And Virginia Beach Public Schools has lots of programs for not just gifted kids, but academies and special programs. You just have to look into it. They're free of charge, but they're there to help there, and I'm sure the other school districts have those things as well.
Okay, thank you.
Wow, well said. I'm glad she mentioned that. Thanks, Sister Dawn. I want to say 4 points on that, MG. For those of you who have children who overachieve. Number 1, they cannot discriminate against your mentally gifted child just because they have behavior problems. What a lot of schools will do is say until he get his behavior under control, he cannot join the gifted program. That is a lie. That's called discrimination, especially if your child has a diagnosis. I don't like the diagnosis. Don't go getting one, but if they already got one, you can use it to protect the child. That's number one. Number two, the nationally recognized cutoff for mentally gifted is 130 IQ. So really quickly, really quickly, just so y'all understand how IQ works, 90 to 109 is average, right? This is where all of us are. If I gave all you guys my Wechsler Adult Intelligence Scale, your IQ score should be between 90 and 109. Fingers crossed. 110 to 119 is high average. 120 to 129 is superior. And 130 and above is what you're looking at for gifted. And then on this end, 80 to 89 is low average. 70 to 79 is borderline. That's what you call somebody who's slow or slow learner. And 69 and below is at risk for intellectual deficiency. Now, even though the national cutoff for gifted is 130, if a black child gets a 120, I'm putting him in. Why are you going to put a black child in with a 120 IQ dot when you just said the national cutoff is 130? Because every intelligence test is culturally biased. Are y'all following me? And because it's culturally biased, it automatically gives the white child a built-in privilege and the black child a built-in disadvantage. So from where I stand, if a black child can score 120 on a white IQ, he clearly smarter than a white kid with the 130. Are y'all following me? I'm saying that to say that I need you to understand they cannot exclude your child from mental giftedness for the IQ score alone. Did y'all hear that? They can't just say he didn't hit 130, we can't put him in. My son got a 120 and he's at least 2 grades above his grade level. He's been straight A's and B's on his report card. He's in the top 10 percentile for Virginia state assessments. Are y'all following me? And his teacher even says he's the brightest thing in the class and she ain't got enough work to keep him occupied. Never let them try to use a score to lynch you. It's more than a score. And if you ever have a problem, that's when you call me up. Okay, because white people have a big problem. I work with them. White people have a big problem classifying black kids as gifted. They can't stand it. You know why? Because some of them are paying $20,000 a year for their kid to go to a privileged white private school, and your child in the ghetto is smarter than their baby who getting a $20,000 a year education. And some of them cannot bring themselves to classify you. I've heard school psychologists who do the testing say in meetings, I do not diagnose kids as gifted. No, cracker, what you meant to say, you don't diagnose our kids. And that's why I gave y'all my number, because if you ever need me to look at your evaluation, Dr. Umar, can you look at this and tell me if you agree with it or not? That's why you got my number. If your child is ever classified as intellectually disabled, I will review that free of charge. And the reason I review the intellectual disability evaluations for free is black kids are 4 times as likely to be classified as intellectually disabled when they are not. So you don't let them give you a paper talking about your child is retarded. You make sure I look at that. And another thing y'all gotta stop doing, stop sharing the labels with the kids. Why would you tell a 5-year-old you got ADHD? A 10-year-old you reading disabled? A 12-year-old you mad? What benefit is it to tell a child that you believe what some white person had to say about them? That's your problem. Because all you do is create an invisible ceiling. If I got ADHD, why try to be good? If I got a reading disability, why try to get better? Don't ever share them labels with the child. Nothing good comes from telling your child they got them issues. One other point, autism. Autism is real, and it comes from the MMR vaccination. Stop vaccinating your children, especially the boys with the MMR. The measles, mumps, and rubella is the trigger for autism. It interacts with the melanin of the black boy. This has already been validified, okay, validated. Now, even though autism is real, it can be misdiagnosed. A child who is emotionally abused can look autistic. A child who is sexually abused can look autistic. A child with a speech and language problem can look autistic. A child who has a hearing problem can look autistic. A child with low self-esteem could look autistic. A child with social anxiety could look autistic. My point is, stop getting 3-year-olds tested for autism because you can't prove autism in a 3-year-old. You can't prove autism in a 5-year-old. I'm an expert autism evaluator. You bring me a 5-year-old, I might see some signs of autism. That don't mean he got it. You can have features and not have the disability. You understand? So slow down on the autism. Why does the preschool want you to get them tested so soon? Because special ed begins at age 3 and special ed goes to age 21. So the way the school system sees it, they want him in as soon as possible so they can start getting that money. It's about the money for them. That's why the preschools be all on your back. Get them tested for autism. Well, he's only 3. Get them tested. The earlier the better. That's a damn lie. Autism is not cancer. Autism is not heart disease. Autism is not diabetes. It ain't got no cure. It don't matter if you catch it at 3, 5, or 15. It's the same autism. Are y'all following me? Cancer, you catch it early, you beat it. Diabetes, you catch it early, you beat it. Autism has no cure, so it don't matter when you catch it. It don't get worse, and it can't be eliminated, at least not yet. Slow down on the labels. Don't get kids evaluated until you believe something wrong with them. And if you ever get a psychological evaluation and the psychologist did not interview you, you give it back. Never accept an evaluation when they didn't talk to you. You are the most important person in the eval. Did you know that? Because guess what? I could test your child and test your child and test your child, IQ tests and reading and math and emotional screening and adaptive behavior and visual motor. But guess what? I can't make sense of these scores without hearing the historical narrative. Who knows the narrative of the child? The mother. Was this baby born on time? Did they walk on time? Did they crawl on time? Did they talk on time? Did they potty on time? Is only one language spoken at home? Has the child ever been hit by a car? Ever been hospitalized? Ever had any surgeries? Are they allergic to anything? It's always what you don't know that would have made the difference. I remember I evaluated a kid one time. I found out later he got locked in a trunk for 24 hours. Nobody told me the damn. He was locked in a trunk. This is trauma. This ain't no learning disability. This is trauma. Evaluated kid, you find out her grandmother who raised her just died. This ain't no learning disability. She's grieving the death of her primary caregiver. Why didn't nobody bring that up at the damn meeting? Y'all see that? So you never accept the eval if they didn't talk to you. You make all the sense. Evaluate a kid, diagnosed him with a reading disability. You find out later he's been to 15 schools. Of course he can't read. He ain't been nowhere long enough. You diagnose a kid with a math problem and you find out he missed school for a whole 2 years. Duh! Now I understand why he can't do math. And what's the crazy part? Sometimes the parents don't tell you what happened. Sometimes the school don't tell you what happened. You know who I find stuff out from? The child, the hall room aide, next door neighbor, people, just random people like, hey, you know that he was sexually abused by his uncle. Duh! It's always what you don't know. Make sure they talk to you first, brothers and sisters. On that note, I want to go ahead and bring it to the close. I think I got everybody on the questions. So this is what I want to do. If you want to get a book, bring it up, I'll sign it. If you want to take a picture, come on up and we can take the picture as well. Make sure you text me my picture, because as I get closer to the Frederick Douglass Marcus Garvey Academy, they gonna come where I won't be traveling no more. Y'all gonna have to come to me if you want to hear me speak in Delaware. So this is coming to an end. It has been a great 21 years, 11 years nationally. You know, I appreciate it, but I'm gonna have to say goodbye to the lecture circuit one day soon, because we now got to educate the boys. Black power. Make sure y'all get 2 of them. Y'all don't break. So, all right. Okay.